Hey, peace everybody. What's up? It's Rashid. Um, Hope you all are doing well. I just wanted to take a few moments to share some reflections based off of some conversations that I've been having with friends and some people that I've been doing some work with recently around mindfulness and meditation and trauma. One thing that's been coming up recently is this idea of how mindfulness can sometimes um, be an agent for more trauma-related challenges to arise um, in our experience. When we talk about mindfulness, a lot of times the focus is around paying attention to what's happening right now and staying with our experience and not turning away um, and and learning how to increase our window of tolerance, our capacity um, to be with our whatever our level of arousal is in the present moment. And all of those, those qualities are true about mindfulness. It can really help us to be able to integrate different material of our mind and our bodies in a wonderful way. And for some of us, some of us who are living with mental illness, or some of us who may be survivors of certain degrees of trauma, mindfulness practices can actually amplify feelings of disorientations, feelings of distress, and oftentimes this can create a sense of feeling trapped and really feeling stuck in intense mental and emotional material. So it's something that we have to. I think it's important for us just to name and to really begin to examine, how we are approaching mindfulness and approaching meditation, because it's a different experience for all of us. And in particular, the practices around really focusing on the body for long periods of time, or focusing on the breath for long periods of time, in a really concentrated way, and really having to use a lot of energy to keep your attention on one object, or one part of your experience. This is where I've been talking to folks, and this is where a lot of people begin to feel a sense of disorientation, because a lot of times, when we experience, we're moving through trauma, or we're recovering from a traumatic experience. The breath can get really tight, and can the breath is actually one of the strongest symptoms of our trauma. So focusing on the breath and having to be still and having to be silent can really cause a lot of distress for many folks. And I talk about rest a lot, and this agency that we have over not just our lives, but over how we relate and engage with meditation practice and instructions, and actually reclaiming our energy. And in this case, reclaiming our energy by not, for particularly Black and brown and people of color, indigenous folks, by not assimilating to white meditation culture that often centers concentration around the breath, and not moving and being really still, associating that with the only path to liberation or healing. So what I'm suggesting and inviting us to do is to really begin to go back to many of our roots, especially for Black and brown, indigenous people of color. I think what we have to do is we have to begin to integrate a lot of our cultural expressions that that have kept us alive and have sustained us um, for generations, and that means bringing options to our meditation practice or our spiritual practice that includes movement practices, that include sound practices, that include singing practices, that include our ancestors, and because the biggest misconception about mindfulness is that mindfulness is looks a certain way. Mindfulness is when we're still and we look calm and we look peaceful. Mindfulness doesn't have to do with anything with how we look. It really doesn't have anything to do with how we feel either. You can't look at someone and tell if someone is actually being mindful or not. Mindfulness is the continuity of awareness that permeates all of our activities, no matter what we're experiencing. So this awareness is innate to who we are, and we're carriers of awareness. We are this awareness, and it's present no matter what we're doing with our bodies, no matter what's happening with our bodies, no matter what's happening in our minds, no matter if we're still, no matter if we're doing jumping jacks. That has nothing to do with determining our quality of mindfulness or our degree of mindfulness. So just wanted to really bring some awareness to this and continue to invite all of us to really look at how we are approaching our meditation practices. Are we approaching them with agency and with freedom to actually say, in this moment I need to get up and move. And getting up and moving doesn't necessarily mean that I'm disassociating or that I'm trying to bypass from my experience. Including movement and sound into your practice, or singing or chanting or humming can actually create a container that prevents and actually produces disassociation. So I'm just going to share 3 or 4 practices that I coping mechanisms that I use when I'm experiencing intense emotions or intense mental states while I'm practicing. And this can be done whether you're sitting or whether you're experiencing feelings of distress while out in your day-to-day activities. And the first practice is to attempt to ground yourself or connect yourself with your surrounding using your senses, other than focusing on the body or the breath. So maybe just naming colors that's in your surroundings, or maybe just touching the ground or touching a tree or touching an object that's close to you to help connect you to reality that's not necessarily limited to the body. Okay, so really just grounding. I would also, sometimes I would say just pause whatever you're doing and actually begin to move the body slowly. So maybe that's, if you're sitting, maybe getting up and walking slowly. Swaying back and forth, is very helpful to just allow the energy in our bodies and what's happening in our minds to metabolize and to have space. Shaking, just simple shaking, or maybe just tapping on the body, can create a sense of safety and warmth that can help when we're feeling overwhelmed during our practice. Also, if you can, doing some gentle yoga or tai chi. The whole idea is that moving is it's okay. We don't have to be stuck to sitting, and it's not an endurance contest when we're talking about developing loving awareness towards our experience, or talking about mindfulness. It's not an endurance contest. We're making space, and sometimes that means getting up. The third practice that I do is sometimes I might just sing a song. I might start humming a song that's sacred to me, a song that can help me to be able to create space for new energies to arise, for a sense of lightness to arise in my experience. And lastly, I encourage all of us to maybe explore what it would be like to actually, call in your ancestors, or call in, your guides, or, say the names of people who have inspired you, or call in your deity. Uh, any of those devotional gestures can often be of benefit in moments when we're feeling really stuck and we're feeling that we're being consumed uh, by our emotions or our mental material. And all of this is to recreate a sense of connection and to recreate a sense of safety. So hopefully this has been helpful. I've kind of just been reflecting on this today after just having conversations with some people about, oftentimes the meditation instructions that they've been given, are actually not taking into consideration the various mental and emotional bodies that we're bringing to our practices. So I'd love to hear your comments and feedback. Peace.